The first thing Elena noticed when she stepped back into Maple Creek was the silence. Not the peaceful kind she remembered from childhood walks near the lake. This silence felt heavy, sharp, like the entire town had paused just long enough to judge her. She climbed out of the taxi wearing her navy blue blazer, her hospital ID still clipped to her bag after the 6-hour drive from Chicago. The air smelled like rain and fresh, cut grass, but instead of comfort, it twisted her stomach into knots. Across the street, 2 women standing outside the bakery stared openly at her. One whispered something. The other shook her head in disgust. Elena frowned. Maybe they thought she looked familiar. She grabbed her suitcase and headed toward the cafe near Main Street, hoping for coffee before meeting her mother. Diane had insisted on organizing a welcome home dinner after Elena received her promotion to surgical supervisor. The bell above the cafe door jingled softly. Conversation stopped. Every single person inside looked at her. Elena froze. An older man near the counter muttered, "Unbelievable." A waitress she'd gone to high school with, Rachel, stiffened while holding a coffee pot. "Elena," Rachel said quietly. Elena forced a smile. "Hey, long time." Rachel didn't smile back. "I didn't think you'd actually come back here." The words hit strangely. "Why wouldn't I?" Rachel exchanged a glance with another customer before lowering her voice. "You've got nerve showing your face after what you did to that little girl." Elena blinked. "What little girl?" Rachel stared at her like she was insane. "Oh my God," she whispered. "You're really pretending." The room buzzed with murmurs. Elena's chest tightened. Pretending about what? Nobody answered. Rachel slowly stepped backward. "You should leave." Confused and humiliated, Elena grabbed her suitcase and hurried outside. Her heart pounded harder with every step. She pulled out her phone and called her mother immediately. Diane answered cheerfully on the second ring. "There's my superstar." "Mom." Elena snapped. "What the hell is going on?" Silence. Then Diane sighed dramatically. "I hoped people would be mature by now." "About what?" Another pause. "Elena, maybe it's time you stopped running from the past." Elena stopped walking. "What past?" Diane lowered her voice like she was exhausted. "Honey, the town knows about your daughter." The world tilted. "My what?" "The child you abandoned." Elena laughed once in disbelief. "Mom, that's not funny." "I never said it was." Elena's throat went dry. "I have never had a child." Diane made a soft tisk sound. "You were young and scared. I protected you for years, but people eventually figured things out." Elena felt physically sick. "What are you talking about? You don't have to keep lying anymore." Diane replied calmly. "Everyone already knows." Elena ended the call. Her hands shook so violently she almost dropped the phone. This couldn't be happening. She had never been pregnant, never even had a pregnancy scare in high school. She'd spent most of her teenage years studying obsessively to escape Maple Creek and its gossip forever. So why was her own mother saying this? Elena rushed toward Diane's house 3 blocks away, anger burning through her confusion. But halfway there, she noticed curtains moving in windows around her. People watching, judging. One man standing outside a hardware store spat on the sidewalk as she passed. "Deadbeat mothers should stay gone," he muttered. Elena stopped breathing for a second. By the time she reached Diane's white 2-story house, she was trembling with rage. She shoved open the front gate and stormed inside without knocking. "Mom?" Diane appeared calmly from the kitchen, wearing a soft pink sweater and an expression of wounded patience. "Oh, good," she said gently. "You made it." Elena stared at her. "Why are you telling people I abandoned a child?" Diane's expression shifted into fake sadness. "I never told them that." "Then why does the entire town believe it?" Diane folded her arms. "Because it's true." Elena felt like she'd been slapped. "You are insane." Before Diane could answer, footsteps echoed from the staircase. A teenage girl slowly appeared. She looked about 17, with dark curls and frightened green eyes, and the second Elena saw her face, her stomach dropped. The girl looked exactly like her. The teenager stared at Elena with visible anger and heartbreak. "So," she whispered shakily, "you're finally back after ruining my life." Elena couldn't move. The teenage girl stood frozen on the staircase, gripping the wooden railing so tightly her knuckles had turned white. Her green eyes burned with pain, confusion, and years of unanswered questions. And somehow, she looked exactly like Elena. Not perfectly, but enough to make Elena's blood run cold. Same dark curls, same sharp cheekbones, same small scar near the eyebrow. For one horrifying second, Elena almost questioned herself. Was this some kind of nightmare? Had something happened she couldn't remember? Then logic crashed back into place. No, impossible. She had never been pregnant. Diane stepped forward protectively, placing a hand on the girl's shoulder. "Lily, sweetheart, maybe this isn't the best time." The girl jerked away angrily. "No, I want answers." Elena swallowed hard. "I don't even know who you are." The words visibly hurt the girl. "Of course you don't," she snapped. "You left me." "Elena," Diane warned softly, as if Elena were the problem. "Please don't upset her more than she already is." Elena stared at her mother in disbelief. "You've been feeding her this lie too." "Lie?" Diane's face hardened instantly. "I raised your child while you chased your career." "I never had a child." The scream echoed through the house. Lily flinched. Diane sighed dramatically like a disappointed saint. "You always were selfish." Elena felt rage boiling so hard inside her chest she could barely think straight. "You're sick." Diane calmly reached into a kitchen drawer and pulled out a folder, then explained these. She dropped the papers onto the dining table. Elena stepped closer with shaking hands. Birth records, hospital forms, school documents. Every single one listed Elena Parker as Lily's mother. Her signature appeared at the bottom of several pages, but the signatures were wrong. Close enough to fool strangers. Not close enough to fool Elena. "These are fake," Elena whispered. Lily looked uncertain for the first time. Diane crossed her arms. Denying reality won't change anything. Elena grabbed one document. "This hospital doesn't even exist anymore. And this signature, stop lying." Lily suddenly shouted. Tears filled the girl's eyes. "You think this is easy for me?" she cried. "Grandma said you didn't want me because you were ashamed, that you wanted freedom more than your own daughter." Elena's heart cracked hearing the pain in her voice. "No," Elena said softly. "Honey, I swear to you, I never abandoned anyone." Lily's expression twisted between anger and desperation. "Then why do we look alike?" Elena had no answer. That terrified her most. Diane stepped forward again. "Enough. Lily, go upstairs." "But now." Reluctantly, Lily disappeared upstairs, though Elena could feel the girl still listening from the landing. The moment she vanished, Diane's warm mask disappeared completely. "You should have stayed away," she said coldly. Elena stared at her mother like she was seeing a stranger. "What did you do?" Diane laughed softly. "I gave that girl a home, something you never could have done. You forged documents, and nobody questioned them." Elena's stomach turned. "Mom, whose child is she really?" Something flickered in Diane's eyes. Fear, only for a second, but Elena saw it. "She's family," Diane answered carefully. "That's not what I asked." Diane leaned closer. "Listen to me very carefully. Maple Creek believes you abandoned your daughter. If you try to destroy that story now, people will tear you apart. You already did that. You're successful now." Diane continued smoothly. "You have money, respect, a future. Don't ruin it by digging into things that don't concern you." The warning chilled Elena more than yelling would have. Because suddenly this felt bigger than gossip, bigger than manipulation. It felt dangerous. That night, Elena checked into a motel on the edge of town instead of staying at Diane's house. She barely slept. Around midnight, someone knocked quietly on her motel door. Elena cautiously opened it. Lily stood outside wearing a hoodie, arms wrapped around herself against the cold. "I only came because Grandma fell asleep," she whispered nervously. Elena stepped aside immediately. "Come in." Lily entered slowly, studying Elena like she was trying to solve a puzzle. After a long silence, she pulled something from her backpack. An old photograph. It showed Diane holding a toddler-aged Lily beside a much younger Elena. Except Elena immediately realized the picture was fake. Her face had been added later. Poorly, Lily's voice trembled. "I found more pictures like this hidden in Grandma's closet." Elena looked up sharply. "And I found this too." Lily handed her another paper. Elena unfolded it carefully. Her breath caught. It was a missing persons article dated 17 years earlier. The headline read, "Young mother and newborn vanish from women's shelter." And attached beside the article was a photo of a terrified young woman holding a newborn baby girl. The baby had Lily's eyes. Elena read the newspaper clipping 3 times before her brain accepted the words. Her hands trembled so badly the paper crinkled beneath her fingers. "Where did you get this?" she whispered. Lily sat on the edge of the motel bed, twisting the sleeves of her hoodie nervously. "Grandma keeps boxes in the attic. She told me never to touch them." Her voice cracked slightly. "So I did." Elena looked again at the young woman in the article. The woman looked exhausted, thin, frightened, but her arms wrapped protectively around the newborn baby with unmistakable love. "This can't be coincidence," Elena muttered. Lily stared at the floor. "You really didn't know about me, did you?" The pain in her voice hit Elena like a knife. Slowly, Elena sat beside her. "No," she said honestly. "I swear to you, Lily, I didn't." For the first time since they met, Lily looked less angry than confused. "I used to ask Grandma why you never visited," she admitted quietly. "She always said seeing me made you feel guilty." Elena closed her eyes briefly. This girl had spent years believing she'd been unwanted. And someone had built those lies carefully, deliberately. "When did she first tell you I was your mother?" Elena asked. "Forever," Lily answered. "As long as I can remember." Elena's stomach tightened. This wasn't some impulsive lie. Diane had created an entire false life around it. Lily hesitated before pulling another item from her backpack, a silver necklace. "There's a picture inside." Elena opened the tiny locket carefully. Inside was a faded photograph of Diane holding baby Lily. But scratched faintly into the back of the photo were 2 words for Nora. Elena's heartbeat quickened. "Nora," she repeated softly. "That's probably the missing woman." Lily looked nervous. "Do you think she's alive?" "I don't know." But Elena intended to find out. The next morning, Elena drove straight to the county records office before Diane could discover Lily had visited her. An elderly clerk named Mr. Bennett helped her reluctantly after recognizing her name. His expression shifted uncomfortably. "I remember your mother talking about that poor girl years ago," he admitted while searching old files. "Terrible situation." "What situation exactly?" He lowered his voice. "The missing woman from the shelter, Nora Hayes." Elena leaned forward instantly. "She stayed at St. Mary's Women's Shelter around 2009. Young, struggling with addiction recovery. Your mother volunteered there back then." Cold dread spread through Elena's chest. "What happened to Nora?" Mr. Bennett sighed. "Disappeared after giving birth. Authorities suspected she ran off. And the baby, no trace." Elena felt sick. "Was my name ever connected to the case?" The clerk frowned while flipping through older records. Then his face changed. "That's strange." "What?" There was a sealed affidavit filed by your mother. He adjusted his glasses, claiming custody of an abandoned infant on your behalf. Elena's blood turned to ice. What? It says you requested privacy due to emotional distress after childbirth. I was 17 and applying for college scholarships. Elena snapped. I wasn't pregnant. Mr. Bennett stared at her silently. And in that moment, Elena realized something horrifying. Some people in town may have genuinely believed Diane's story because official records supported it. Diane hadn't just spread gossip. She had built evidence, forged evidence. Elena copied every document she could find before rushing back to the motel. But when she arrived, Lily was gone. Panic exploded inside her. She called repeatedly. No answer. Then her phone buzzed. A text from Diane. Stop digging. Lily belongs with me. Elena jumped into her car immediately and sped toward Diane's house. When she arrived, she found Lily crying on the porch while Diane stood nearby with crossed arms. She lied to me again. Lily shouted the moment Elena approached. Diane's expression remained icy calm. I simply told her the truth. You're manipulating her. Elena didn't manipulate anything. Lily cried. You forged photos. Diane's face darkened instantly. You ungrateful little girl. The words carried such venom that even Lily recoiled. Elena stepped between them protectively. That's enough. For the first time, Diane's composure cracked completely. You think you can destroy me, she hissed. After everything I sacrificed, you kidnapped a child. Elena shot back. Lower your voice, no. Neighbors had already begun peeking through windows. Diane noticed too, and suddenly her expression changed. Tears filled her eyes instantly, like an actress stepping onto stage. She's attacking me. Diane whimpered loudly. After I raised her daughter alone for 17 years. Curtains shifted all around the street. People were watching. Again, Elena realized Diane had perfected this performance long ago, but this time Lily stepped forward beside Elena, and what she said next shattered Diane's control. I don't think she's my mother, Lily whispered. Diane went completely still. Then Lily pulled the newspaper clipping from her hoodie pocket and held it up with shaking hands. I think you stole me. The silence after Lily's accusation felt suffocating. Diane's face drained of color so quickly it frightened Elena. For one split second, nobody moved. Then Diane lunged forward and ripped the newspaper, clipping from Lily's hands. You stupid child, she snapped. The sweet, loving mask she wore for the town vanished completely. Neighbors watching from porches and windows froze in shock. Lily stumbled backward, tears filling her eyes. You lied to me my whole life. Diane crumpled the article violently. I protected you by stealing me. Enough, Diane screamed. Elena immediately stepped in front of Lily. You're done controlling her. Diane pointed a shaking finger toward Elena. This is your fault. You came back here trying to ruin everything. No, Elena replied coldly. I came back for a promotion dinner. You turned my life into a nightmare because you needed someone to hide behind. People slowly began stepping outside their homes now, openly listening. Diane noticed, and once again, her expression shifted into false heartbreak. You all know me, she cried to the crowd. I sacrificed everything to raise that girl after Elena abandoned her. A few uncertain murmurs spread through the street. For years, Diane had been Maple Creek's favorite hero, church volunteer, shelter worker, generous widow. Nobody wanted to believe the truth, but Elena finally had enough. She reached into her purse and pulled out the copied county records. You forged legal documents, Elena said loudly. You filed fake custody papers using my name. Diane's eyes widened slightly. That tiny reaction was enough. Elena held up the papers for everyone nearby to see. These records claim I gave birth at St. Mary's Hospital in March 2009, she announced. But the hospital closed 8 months before that date. Whispers erupted instantly. Diane opened her mouth, but Elena kept going. And the signatures on these forms don't even match mine. Lily stepped beside Elena with trembling courage. And the family photos Grandma showed me were edited, she added shakily. I found the originals hidden upstairs. More neighbors gathered now. Some looked horrified, others looked angry, but not at Elena anymore. Diane's breathing grew uneven. You don't understand. No. Elena interrupted. You don't understand. I found the missing persons report. The crowd fell silent again. Elena pulled out the newspaper clipping. Nora Hayes lost her newborn daughter 17 years ago while staying at the same shelter where Diane volunteered. A man near the sidewalk frowned deeply. I remember that case. Diane suddenly grabbed Lily's arm hard. We're leaving. Lily yanked herself free immediately. Don't touch me. For the first time, fear appeared openly in Diane's eyes. Real fear. Then Elena's phone rang. Unknown number, she answered cautiously. A quiet woman's voice spoke through tears. My name is Nora Hayes. The caller whispered. Someone told me you're asking questions about my baby. Elena's heart nearly stopped. 20 minutes later, a worn gray sedan pulled onto the street. A thin woman stepped out slowly. The moment Lily saw her, something shifted in the air. The same green eyes, same dark curls, same nervous habit of biting the lower lip. Nora looked at Lily like she was seeing a ghost. Oh my God, she sobbed. Diane backed away instantly. No. Nora pointed directly at her with shaking hands. She took my baby. Gasps spread across the street. Nora's voice cracked violently as years of pain poured out. She told me the hospital needed paperwork after I gave birth. They sedated me because of complications. Tears streamed down her face. When I woke up, my daughter was gone. Diane shook her head wildly. She was unstable, addicted. I was recovering. Nora screamed. And you told everyone I abandoned her. The sound of police sirens echoed down the road. Someone in the crowd had already called them. Diane looked around desperately as officers stepped from their vehicles. No, she whispered weakly. You don't understand. I loved her. One officer approached carefully. Diane Parker, we need you to come with us. Diane looked at Lily one final time. But Lily didn't move toward her. Instead, she stepped beside Nora and Elena, together, united. Diane's face crumpled completely as handcuffs clicked around her wrists. The same town that once worshipped her now stared in disgust. And for the first time in 17 years, Diane had nobody left to manipulate. Months later, Elena stood in a small backyard, surrounded by string lights and laughter. Lily's 18th birthday. Nora smiled while helping carry out the cake, healthier now than Elena had ever seen her. Healing slowly, Lily ran toward them both, laughing as they hugged her together. Family, real family. Across town, Diane sat alone inside a prison cell, watching the celebration photos appear online through a tiny television news segment. And in the end, that became her cruelest punishment. Not prison, not disgrace, but realizing the people she tried to control had finally found happiness without her.